Hello, everybody, and welcome to All Things Rex Worldwide. It's another Thursday, and I have a fabulous guest for you. But as you know, before we begin with the guest, I'm going to tell you that every Thursday at this time, we stream live. We actually record the live stream so it's available in replay. Let me tell you about my guest today. She is making her second appearance here. It is Adora Evans, the author of Majestic Money, the 30-day Femme Manifesting Game. And she has led thousands of women around the world tap into their feminine power to create more money, love, miracles in their life. But not just women, but men too. And as a seasoned entrepreneur, Adora went from a boarded up home with no electricity at 18 to working with celebrities on red carpets. And she has now done so for over 20 years. She's functioned as a coach, a healer, a teacher, and spiritual guide. And as a celebrity connector and coach, Adora has helped many healers, teachers, and consultants understand how to package their brilliance, create strategic alliances, and attract divine clients. And so, without any further ado, let's bring on Adora. How are you, Adora?
Good. How are you, Rex?
I'm fabulous, and I'm better now that you're here. Thank you for coming in today.
Oh, me too. Always good to see you. Thank you so much.
And likewise, likewise. The pleasure's all mine, believe me.
Hmm.
So, the last time you were here, we talked about your book. I'm going to ask you some personal questions, just about like how you're doing today, kind of thing, what's going on. But we talked about your book. I'd like to explore that a little bit more in detail for the audience today. And if you're watching live from the Facebook page, you can always leave comments down below and ask questions of Adora while we stream live. So please feel free to do that. If you're watching the recorded show, know that we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Periscope, and Roku TV, to say the least. So welcome, everybody. I'm so glad that you're here. And there is a chat room. You can also leave comments in the chat room. So, Adora.
Hi, Barbie. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Josephine.
Look at
Or
that.
Josephine,
That's
yes.
so cool. So very, very cool. So let me ask you this. You're now doing a lot of you've done the New Psychology of Winning tour, for example. Hi, Sandra. You've done the New Psychology of Winning tour with Dennis Waitley, and you've connected up a lot of people who otherwise would not have the opportunity to get to know Dennis at a level that is for many people right now is beyond belief, because Dennis is an icon in the personal development, the high peak performance arena, and you have literally connected him up to audiences, through your efforts. So tell us a little bit about that, and how that all how that all came about, and how you're going to what else you're doing in that regard.
Yeah, so Dennis, I met when I was in my early 20s. I was working as a producer on the Discovery Channel and wanted to do a show over his life. And we considered doing something with USANA at the time. And that's where we originally connected. But it's so funny. Oh, thank you, Sandra. We all meet so many different people, mentors, friends along the way. And often I find time reveals who are going to be the people that stay with you really long term. I've got something on my lip there, Rex. I thought it was. It's the shiny light. It's a piece of glitter or something. But anyway, yeah, time reveals. And maybe some of you that are watching, you think about friends that have been around for some time that you didn't necessarily know that when you first met them. There are some people right away, we're going to be together forever, right? But there's some people that it's over time. And Dennis was just one of those people I found as I worked with a lot of different big names, New York Times bestselling authors like lots of celebrities and stuff. But he always stood out to me because it's not only that his material is pioneering and he's one of the grandfathers of the self-development industry, or Brian Tracy called him the father of the self-development industry. But he really genuinely is a kind human being consistently. He genuinely walks the talk And I've seen it over years. And so as we started working, I got to work with him, helping him get into the movie The Secret and just kind of connecting him with different things. But as he brought out the new Psychology of Winning, yeah, as you know, you were part of the tour, and Mo and many of you that are watching attended that tour. We just got to honor him. We got to bring some of his best friends together and colleagues and people that just love him, and where Bob Proctor called him, his mentor and friend. And, we got to do, we didn't know that the conversation between Bob and Dennis, that would be the last public kind of conversation and the last public event that Bob did. But it's just been amazing. And the type of people that came around and joined the tour as speakers and also audience members, we continued on with a private study. And yeah, there's just this wonderful community now of all these thought leaders that are out there impacting in powerful ways. And it's really fun facilitating spaces like that. And I guess the thing I want to say about that is that all came from a whim of like, wouldn't it, I had this conversation with Les Brown and Dennis Waitley. And as Les and Dennis were talking, their hearts just opened in a way that isn't the same as when they're sharing with an audience. They were sharing with each other, and we got to be in the room, right? And so I thought, wow, how cool it would be to have a whole series of conversations like this. I've hosted virtual events before, you've been to them, and those are awesome. But something really magical happened in getting to see these great people together. And I think we all get moments like that where you have an idea and, maybe 1 in 10 actually you take action and it feels and it great and gets life. Maybe you take action on all 10 and 1 gets life. But that was really cool too, just to have like an idea of, wouldn't it be really fun? And then I thought, I don't want to do this alone. Who do I want to do this with? And Mo dropped in to my heart and thoughts, and I called him, and he was just like, oh my gosh, let's do this. And so it ended up being so fun. So fun.
Well, it's a unique opportunity, and some of the most successful people in the world are those people who make connections for other people.
Yeah.
Because they're bringing, resourceful people together who may not have ever gotten together. And you're not only connecting, icons, but you're connecting icons to other people who might never have had that opportunity. And you're correct. And also, I don't mean correct, but you're so right on, spot on, let's put it that way. To be a fly on the wall in some of these conversations between friends where they're not, for lack of a better term, not performing. They're not trying to instruct or teach. They're just having a conversation and sharing is really a wonderful and a unique opportunity. It's not open to many people. So it's very cool.
Well, I want to say something about that with connection, because I know there are a lot of connectors out there. And I loved when Malcolm Gladwell, identified connectors and strategic alliances, because I felt like me and lots of people in the world, we're raising our hands going, that's me. I'm always, I've always been into fitness and teach classes on the side. I taught even when I was working on red carpets and stuff. It's just really fun for me. And I remember getting this body pump certification, and my shoulders, when I would do squats, were always sideways, and I couldn't, but it felt so weird to go center. And over time, I figured out it was because I always stand in an open, come on into the circle, come on in, and so if you're a connector out there and you naturally connect, there's so much opportunity for creating community, belonging, social movement, social change, income opportunities. And I think it's so glorious that we as connectors now have a way to monetize that, because many connectors, the first 10 years of my career, I was doing the majority of my connecting just totally free, and then people started paying me. Hey, if you connect me with this person, I'll give you this percentage. If you do XYZ, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, I'm going to get paid for this, And then over time, I got paid to create really high level connections. And so that's great. So connectors out there, realize that there's a huge value in the marketplace for that. And I remember lots of years just being like, really not earning my potential because I kind of took that skill for granted because it was part of my nature. And if you're not a connector, realizing that if you're going to start practicing, because we can all learn and we all probably are actually connectors, and it's just learning to tap into it, learning to open up and move with the skill. But if you're working on your connection skills, I would say it's something to practice everywhere. Like if I'm in the grocery store, I'm almost hosting the person that's bagging my groceries. I'm like, how are you? How was your day? How, I tend to want to get into their world. Sometimes people go, wow, you go way deep, way fast with total strangers. And for me, that's just, more fulfilling, and it feels like a good use of my life and time. And so I would say, start and I know you didn't ask for this, but we're on the connection, the connection conversation is, get out and practice connections where you are. And of course, the connection with the self is the beginning, connection with a higher power. If that's important to you, it's certainly important to me. But then, practice connecting by asking questions, listening, and then for creating alliances. And some of this probably sounds pretty, basic, but, simple little things of like, oh, you both played baseball, and step back and just let magic happen. You can really practice it everywhere. Like, just think about how to bring people together, if that's a skill you're working on. So.
No, I absolutely love this because there are so many people out there who, when they had the lockdown, obviously, and people were at one time isolated in their homes. The only way they had to connect was through what we're doing right now. And then for those who are out and about in the world today, or at any time in the world, many of them are out and about and meeting people all the time, but don't really connect. Yeah. So the ability to connect, what you said, practice connecting, ask questions. I submit, that when you're on Facebook, for example, or social media, instead of just hitting the like button, which is the easy way out, comment. You can say, I like that, rather than just hitting the like button.
Yeah.
Or leave another statement. I mean, or ask a question that engages people so that people get to know you and you get to know them, because that's a simple way of actually engaging, and especially if it's somebody that you want to get to meet, you can stalk them forever essentially and do nothing, or you can actually put yourself out there and go, why do you think that way? And then listen for the answer instead of going, I disagree.
Yeah. And showing up authentically, though, that's a great point, making a comment. And also, that's why I like the practice connecting everywhere, because you never know who's watching you. You never know when, it's a practice. So when the pressure is on to talk with your hero or the investor that you think is good, or your dream date, dream husband, dream wife, whatever it is, if you haven't been practicing connection, it can start to feel like, oh, where's the script? And now I say this and now I do that. And it feels off, it can feel weird. And, it's okay. Scripts, we all start somewhere. But if you're practicing in your daily life, then it naturally flows out as you're authentic. And I'll do things like, an example is if I'm at the grocery store, I'm at a restaurant, and someone rubs their elbow, or they're like, I'll say, does your neck hurt? Oh, is your elbow bothering you? And they'll just, oh yeah, it's been, oh, when did it start? Oh, and Or if someone's like, hey, I'll be like, has it been a tough day? Or if they're just like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, hey, what's happening with, a lot of times the eye contact and the actual presence of, I'm here with you, not on my phone. I'm not just doing a drone thing, like, well, you'll see the pupils literally like, whoa, oh, where you're actually listening, and you'll feel the engagement. So it's so simple, but you can do it with babies, dogs, trees, anywhere that you are. And it can seem like a waste of time for people who are very busy or very introverted or very, I know what I'm going for in the store and I just want to get in and get out, but if you'll practice sometimes, and leave a little room when it comes time to make those seemingly important connections to your soul journey, it'll authentically flow. Because also nobody likes, I remember I was listening to a dating person not too long ago, and they were like, notice, is the guy an I still said it, to the waiter and super nice to you? Because guess what? However he's treating that person, you'll eventually land there, right? So you can't just be like and we all have our moments, but practice being who you want to be.
Well, what I also like about practicing, and that is one, you're putting yourself out there and you're making yourself available for opportunities that might not ever otherwise occur. If you don't take the opportunity to say something, and I don't mean just blurt stupid things out or be a stalker. I mean, think in terms of purpose. I want to help this person feel at ease. I want to help them feel wonderful. I'd like them to, irrespective, it has nothing to do with me. It's what can I gift this person with? Some of the most profound experiences I've ever have come by sitting on a park bench or bumping into somebody in a supermarket or running into somebody who I otherwise probably would not have talked to. But because I'm either open and available or because we bumped carts in the supermarket, we now have a conversation that starts.
You are bumping buggies.
Bumping buddies, yeah.
Buggies. I call them buggies. Go ahead. Sorry.
Did you
Go.
say buggies?
Buggy. I don't know why. I need a shopping buggy.
I'm good with that. That works.
Yeah. But whenever you've had those moments, that's what you were saying.
Well, what I'm saying is, you talk about spirituality and the divine, and I say, along those lines, that if you're available to what could come your way universally, or through the universe, or through spirit, or through higher power, or whatever, then these little instances can truly be magical. And we don't know. I mean, some will be just what they are and they don't seem to go anywhere, but you won't know unless you're willing to have them.
100%.
Huh?
Yeah, 100%. And along the lines of in the grocery stores and all that, if you're a writer and you want to get your story made into a movie, or you're an actor and you want to be in, like, you still find ways to get yourself in rooms. The universe is going to line up other things and you're going to practice, but don't just go to the grocery store waiting for your film deal to come in. It happens sometimes, but I think that some of the most powerful prayer is intentional action. It's whenever we have an intention and then we align our action with our intention. To me, that's faith. That's saying, I'm know this is meant for me. I'm taking action. I'm in movement, and I'm saying aligned, intentional action. That is the highest form of prayer. It's like you're praying with your feet right then, so still get in the circles and create opportunities to mingle with the type of people that you're hoping to create relationships with.
That's beautiful. That truly is beautiful. I also submit, being in the film business myself,
Yeah.
a lot of people run into, say Steven Spielberg in an elevator, and and their screenwriters or actors, and of course everybody wants to do that. We all hope that we have that thing. But I would again submit this is don't be a dick.
Man, and go ahead.
No,
That's either Richard or Guy's getting all the bad rap.
it's
Go
true,
ahead.
but don't be as Adora would say it. Don't be. You know what happens is a lot of celebrities get approached over and over and over again, and one of the reasons they get tired of it is because it's always the same approach. It's do something for me, be your character for me, sign my thing, take a photo with me, and a lot of times they don't pay attention. I mean, I've been sitting with celebrity friends, and people come up and go, "Can I have a photo?" in the middle of him or her taking a bite, and some are gracious and will go, okay, and others, I've been with who go, get out of here. So, which, I always say, it's everything is in the approach. If you approach
Mm.
correctly, the other thing is you don't ask them to give you a job and you don't hand them a screenplay and expect them to carry it. But you could say something, I really enjoy your movies. What would be how would I get my screenplay to you? Who's the appropriate person I need to call in your office? And they could say call Sally or call Bill or something like that if they're interested. But I always find that with people who can do something for you, if you stop asking for what they can do for you and just treat them like a really a good human being and understand that they're not there to serve you or help your career, they can, but you respect their who they are and their privacy and everything else, that oftentimes they really will go that extra step to say, well, here's my card, here's this, do that. And they'll give you the right procedure because you did it without being an asshole.
I love that it got quoted. Yeah, public
This is going to
figures
be
are
the
humans
Endora
too. Yeah,
quote from now on. It's going to be
right. But there it is. There's a quote by Mo Rock. I love that. I love that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and on that note, because this is where we're flowing in full circle with Dennis, a lot of my early friendship with him, I was still figuring out who I wanted to be. I always knew I wanted to help women. I always knew I wanted to be in the self-development industry, but I was, work at one point I was working for the designer that dressed Prince his entire career and doing all the red carpet things. And another point I was a senior writer for a fashion and art magazine in Egypt. Another point I was dancing with Telemundo and, LA. So I was in, I think my 20s and maybe even some of my early 30s were still about this unfolding of, these different experiences. But my point is, most of my early career, I was just so happy to know Dennis because, again, you read at 18, I was living in a boarded up home with no electricity. These books, these teachers, I feel like they raised me, I had to apply the information, but they're my celebrities. So often I would just call Dennis and I only called him and all the people that I had in my cell phone. And I had Jim Rohn, I had Les Brown, I had Lisa Nichols, I had all these different, still quite a list of speakers. And I had them even in my 20s and I wasn't producing major shows anymore, but they always took my call. And the reason is because every time I called saying, hey, I have an interview for you. Hey, I know you've got a new book. Do you want to be in Success Magazine? I think I could get that interview for you. And at one point I remember Dennis saying, Dora, what can I do for you? And I was like, I don't know yet, but when I know, I'll let you know. I was just so happy to share space, and even, oh, go ahead.
No. Keep going. I'm emphasizing this is such an important point you're making. Go on, please.
Yeah. And so, a few years ago was teaching a workshop just on creating strategic alliances. And we talked about Oprah. Like if we wanted to, at that time, if I wanted to get in touch with Oprah, like really had a succinct reason why, what would I do or how would I start? And we all know Oprah's one of the most challenging people because she has teams upon teams that are gatekeepers and very strict just policies. But I said, look, she just bought Weight Watchers. I would be looking at, that's what she cares about right now. How can you move forward her vision with Weight Watchers, or look at the schools that she sponsors? Is there a place that you can bring, presence, fundraising, anything to something that she really cares about? I would start there. and then move the needle along. And some people will say, no, just be more direct. And I'm intuitive. There are times for that where you just ask for what you want, but more often than not, thinking about what does this person want that I can deliver. And when I was younger, people would say, oh, go ask someone to be your mentor, go take them to coffee, go take them to dinner. They can buy their own dinner. They probably want the dinner alone. They probably are looking for quality time with themselves or with their family. They can, get their own coffee. So while there are people who are kind, time is the most expensive thing. And when you have any level of prominence, everybody wants it. Everybody wants your time, right? So you got to think outside of the box and pay attention. Notice, what are they into? What do they care about? Is there some way that I can serve first? And you can still do that and be authentic. You can send gifts, and go, okay, I'm wanting a meeting with you. Now they're paying attention more because you notice that they collect elephants or whatever, globes or weird socks, and you sent them 10 pairs and then you made your request. Like, there are always simple ways to stand out. And Rex, you do a great job of that. I mean, you came to several events before we started to know each other more. You participated, you shared the events, you commented on all the things that were going on. So there are simple ways to do it virtually, but really important to think about. And another point on that is, if you don't have the resources, some people go, well, I don't have the money to send the gift, or I don't have, like with Dennis, I went, what would he want? Probably an interview with Success Magazine. Would Success Magazine like an interview with him? Probably. And guess what? When I checked in with both, made the connection, now I have 2 core alliances right there. And it's not even my resources. It's putting the resources together. And now you've got, equity there.
But this again is such an important point. We're going to have to take a break in a minute too, and we can come back to it. But my point is, you have to go first from a point of service, and that's what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure you, like me, every day I get, tons of LinkedIn messages or other messages from people, emails asking me, how I can benefit my life, or my life would be better if I use these people's services. They don't ask, they don't say, hi, how are you? What's going on? You're good. They'll just say, hey, have you considered this? And like, let me show you how my company does that. And most of them end up in my virtual trash. Because if I'm looking for it, that's one thing. But if I'm not looking for it, that's just, you're just pushing you on me. You'd be far better off to go, hi, how are you? What's your day like? And then I have a choice to answer or not answer. But if somebody approaches, the point is, if you're what you just said, I asked Dennis if this would be valuable to him, asked Success if this would be valuable to him, I put them together. You're going to serve both parties. And when your purpose is to serve someone, it's much nicer to be invited or to be asked, what can I now do for you, than for us to be pushing ourselves on people so that they finally go, oh, look, get out of here. I don't, mm-hmm. You want to open that door up. I'm glad you're not trash either, Sandra. That's wonderful. Or not that you're in my trash. But the point is that, it's edify and uplift and serve, and go from that purpose, as opposed to what can I get from this person? I have 5 minutes to be with a celebrity. File that 5 minutes away and come back later, maybe, but don't, I can't tell you how many people I know. That's why you don't get a reply, Mo. That is exactly why you don't get a reply. No, Mo is wonderful and a great guy. So let me just stop here. We're going to do some business for the Los Angeles Tribune. We're going to share with you the history of the LA Tribune. So watch this. Mo Rock, the CEO. And if they'll bring that up now, we'll be back in about 30 seconds.
Hello and welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune. Since 1886, our name has been a part of the world of journalism. We've earned a reputation for being a publication that practices integrity, authenticity, and responsibility. For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
And we want to thank the Los Angeles Tribune and the Los Angeles Tribune team for bringing you this show, All Things Rex Worldwide, and all of the shows and all of the varied experiences that you can have with the Tribune and with Adora, because they have put on some pretty wonderful events called the New Psychology of Winning and other things coming down the pike. So very cool. I would venture a guess that you wrote your book to help people more than to sell books.
Yes.
And that's why you are who you are. And I think that is the point. When your goal is to help other people succeed or feel better or solve a problem, you get further faster than if it's like, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
What's in it for them? That's important.
100%. Yeah, I remember being 18 and in that boarded up home, and Jim Rohn, feeling like Jim Rohn was talking right to me when he was saying that all I needed to do was get mentors, and the library was full of mentors, and that if I just stayed on this path, that I would eventually arrive at the destination I was shooting for. And the walls were dark. There was no sheetrock in the walls. And I remember just being covered in chills and feeling like Jim Rohn was talking to me, and then spending time with, next was Tony Robbins and the personal power. Remember those 30-day? I know you've had some work. Tony Robbins has done some work based on your work, Rex. But even then, I wrote down in my goals, if one day I could impact someone the way these people are impacting me, that would just be everything, And so a lot of people know that I started helping people package their message, sell high ticket, learn to really, for a period of time, that was the main type of consulting I was doing. And so I learned how to really take clients through a very transformational journey and to be paid what I was, worth. But the book for me was like, okay, now this, everyone can afford a book. Once a year, I even put it out there like 99 cents or something, the ebook. And so absolutely, I thought, what things can I put in here and make it available to the masses? So good observation, Rex.
Well, let me ask you this question, and you may or may not want to answer it, but
I'm going to drink coffee then. In case I don't, I'll have a delay. Go ahead, Rex. Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to start drinking now.
Just repeat the question and we'll know you're stalling for time. The question that I have is, we started this by saying a lot of people may also want to be connectors, and they may be connectors. And you said, hey, I connected all these people, and for a long time and I didn't get paid, but then I got paid. So let's talk about how you bridged that. Did somebody first come along and say, do this and that, and I'll give you so much? Or did you say, oh, wait, I'm not going to give you anything until you give me my money? I mean, how did you go from a non-paid connector to a paid connector? Because I'm sure people are interested in how they can do that for themselves and to do it without shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was definitely a journey. And at first, people, being a producer for Pat Summerall, that was basically high level connection. I had to call CEOs of 10 million plus companies that were revenuing 10 million or more a year. I had to interview them, get through the gatekeeper, and then get them to invest in being featured on the Pat Summerall show on the Discovery Channel, right? And so I learned a really high level skill set of getting through gatekeepers, speaking to decision makers, learning how to lead with the value, and the importance of the interview process, right? So at first it was given to me, then someone else called and said, hey, if you get me interviews with these guys, I'll pay you this much. If you'll, Matt Morris had Success University at the time, and then his director of education wasn't delivering. I didn't know that, but he called me on his birthday. I was in my 20s. And he was like, please, Adora, it's my birthday. Help me. I'll pay you. And I was in the place of like, no, I'm going to be a speaker and an author. I don't have time for this. You know, it took me still 15 years to write the book. Right. But I was, you know, on mission then. And and so I started being referred by people when they needed. At first, it was self-development people specifically, because I started to develop a Rolodex of that. But, you know, I ended up living in LA and I lived with the actress that was in The Parent Trap. She is Elaine Hendricks. She gets the lizard on her head, and she's a full-time actress still in LA. She's, I think, in the Dynasty, the new Dynasty show right now that's on. But anyway, I was living with her and I just wandered into this clothing shop. It was by Earth Cafe on Melrose and Sweetser. I don't know where you're located, Rex. Are you in LA?
I know Earth. I know Earth well.
Yeah. Okay. So the Peace Gallery used to be right next to there.
Uh-huh.
And I just wandered in. I was like, oh my gosh, these clothes are amazing. It's okay that you're late. And this beautiful designer in her 60s, I didn't know she was sitting there. I'm like, country girl, grew up on welfare, never paid. BB was the most expensive thing I bought at that time. You know, maybe a couple of Versace and Prada things, but like rarely, you know. And so I'm in there like just all over the clothes. And she pulls down her glasses and is like, who are you? Sit down. It's been a while since I've seen how my clothes impact. She read my astrology and we started hanging out. And then she said, you know, I don't know what you're doing here in LA, but I want you on my team. And I'm like, well, I'm staying with my friend. She was like, no problem. I have some houses on Melrose Sweetser. You can live there.
Wow.
And because I was living with Elaine was doing all these red carpet events where she was presenting awards. You know, in LA, there are a ton of them. They're the big events, but every week there are red carpets, at least pre-COVID, like breast cancer, this, you know, dolphins, that, you know, all these. And so, so because of Elaine and this just kind of seemingly magical moment of just being that connection skill we were talking about, I ended up doing all these red carpeted things, or red carpets, and dressing celebrities and putting, you know, putting swag in different bags. And it was so much fun. Yeah, those red carpets are overrated. We need to do a better one. Mo, that's why we need to do a better red carpet with your new song. So that put me in the celebrity realm, right? And then, so it started to be kind of word of mouth things at first. And then as I started moving into the speaking coaching career, and people kept calling me for connections. And, you know, I helped get one thing funded. It was an air to water project. I had a friend who was an Olympian. They got it funded at Stanford. Millions of dollars were raised. I didn't get anything, right? And several deals like that started happening where people would call me and say, will you connect me with XYZ? I'll take care of you. And then nothing would happen. You know, they'd be like, taking care of me was taking me to dinner or something. And so that started to feel a certain way, like, I spent my time. And so I started looking, like, how do I monetize this? How do I set better boundaries? How do I learn to ask? So, you know, at first it did feel like, you know what? I'm so happy to make connection for you. It sounds like there's going to be some good business done here if I'm successful. What would be my payoff? Or like, what are you anticipating? How are you planning on working me into the agreement? You know, and that felt so scary and weird at first. But over time, that became very natural. I mean, it's very natural when you're making a connection to make sure. But you do, if you're a connector and you're wanting to do that, you do need to establish that you expect to receive a percentage of, and then get it in writing as early as you can. Most of most of my friends or people that I work with now, we know each other well. We have great rapport. So I may make introductions before we have things in writing, but when the business gets ready to be done, it's all in writing. And if it's not, they lose my connection skill, right? I mean, when you're a connector and you can generate business, you can be resourceful, you can create relationships. People, if they're smart, they don't want to, cut you out of that.
Right.
The other part is network marketing, affiliate marketing. Now, there are so many ways to, many businesses already have them in place where you can go and say, do you have an affiliate program, or it's becoming a very viable, normal thing.
Well, a couple of the things that I really appreciate that you said is, I was doing this stuff, but I didn't know how to ask, and I was kind of, reluctant to ask. But you eventually learned how to ask. You practiced asking. You got better at asking, and now you can ask and get it in writing. And I don't think that should be lost on viewers, because I had a friend, for example, who was an actor. He's like, I can't get arrested as an actor. My biggest part has been to play a dead body under a sheet, in a soap opera. I need to do something in order to up my ability to audition and get roles. So he said, I realized I was nervous on interviews. So he started going out for interviews. And this may not be really fair to all of those people, the headhunters who were looking at you, but he said, I went on interviews for jobs I knew I would not take. I just wanted to practice sitting in an office and getting comfortable talking and until I could get comfortable with who I am. So essentially what he did was practice interviewing, but real interviews, except he just wasn't going to take them. I don't recommend that you do that, because you're wasting someone's time. But the point was that he practiced the skill that he wanted to learn to develop, which is what you said. I did this until I got better at it. And what's so often lost on people is they go, I want to do that. And then they jump in, they don't know how to do it. And if it doesn't work right away, they quit, or they give up, or they think I'm not good, or that person didn't pay attention to me, or they didn't listen. I'm with you. If somebody's going to take my connection, or they're going to take my services and then screw me, I don't need them. I don't need to do business with them. So if it happens once, okay, I learned maybe a painful lesson, but I don't, if you're living a full life and your talent and your ability is so rich, there's plenty of other people in the world. If you don't make that one fish the only fish that makes the difference between winning or losing or succeeding or failing. And some people make the one opportunity so important that if it doesn't come through, then they get completely knocked off their horse, and then they don't want to get back up again. But
so true.
So there's a process to learning how to do this. One is to add value to other people and to serve and to want to connect genuinely. And when you do that, because either you're solving a problem or you're helping somebody with an opportunity, and then you also know now how to say, since I'm connecting you, I am part of this process, and I'd like to be compensated for it. So, how do you see me in this process, or how are you going to take care of me? It's a legitimate question that, everybody has to eat.
Yeah, I mean, even, I have a girlfriend that had a stint of work in nurse recruiting, right? Or real estate agents, that even rental properties, when they're booking, they're getting a fee for making that connection, even though someone could have Googled and walked into the apartment on their own, because they're the agent that directed the person that way. It's an energy exchange. But as a connector, it's so good what you said, because you could believe that people just want to take advantage of you or nobody. But usually if that's happening, it's how you're showing up. And I don't mean you need to show up like I'm this big whatever and you better do X, Y, Z or not. It may feel like that at first because you're not used to, asking for your value, and the pendulum kind of swings and you're playing, I don't know, tough guy or something. But really it's about the expectation that your time is valuable, that the relationships that you have developed, you're putting your name and reputation on the line. You're going out of your way to create a connection. Am I saying every single connection I make is for immediate business or has some kind of agenda? No, like I told you, I connect in grocery stores, but I did have to become, or chose to become, way more mindful, because I was called so many times by people saying, can you get me a connection with this person? Because because of my training with Pat Summerall, my skill set wasn't just about who is in my Rolodex. I could literally walk in a bookstore, look at the name, and get on the phone. And I didn't have to know them to be able to get through, create value, get the connection. So people started saying, I'll pay you this, I'll pay you that. And I realized not everybody can do that, right? So you've got to value it if it's something that you want to do, and then practice, like you said, find your way of how you're going to elegantly say it and feel authentic and feel, until it's just natural for you, because usually the mess around it is about how you're feeling more than it is the other people, because we're training people. This is who I am. This is what I talk about when I'm in your presence. This is how I behave when I'm with you. This is what I'm doing in the minute that I have your attention. Whatever I'm bringing up, this is what I'm choosing to portray. So if people aren't getting it, it's because there's something you're not communicating. And that's not to say there aren't people who are, what'd you call them? Rexes? You called them don't be a... No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are going to be people that are just, grabby and totally all about them and not considering you and whatever. But most people, if you're communicating and they're aligned with you, kinds of people, because we don't need to work with everybody in the world. If you're clear and confident and you trust and choose to believe in your value and the value of what you're bringing, and then you communicate, they're going to be very happy to honor you in some way.
Well, if you follow statistics, and I hate statistics because you can lie with statistics pretty easily, but if you follow them, 97% of the people will die without a retirement plan. 97% of the people will live paycheck to paycheck. 97% of the people will never do what would get them ahead or be able to take their vacations or provide for their children or do what they want to do, but only because they just don't do it. I mean, primarily. So if 97% of the people approach things from what's in it from me, and you approach them from how can I serve you? You stand out because you're in that 1 or 2% of people who actually are there to serve, who are there caring, who are saying, look, I've got resources, I can connect you, and that in and of itself is significant, because if you do it, if like everybody's doing it, then you don't stand out at all. But you also don't want to be an asshole or a dick or a doofus or any
or a doormat. And I'm speaking to some of the connectors here. You're right. It's finding that balance in yourself, and everything is balance. We have the sun, we have the moon, we have sunlight, we have rain, we have, the yin yang, the masculine, feminine. It's that balance that you'll find between knowing your value, owning your time, and service. And sometimes, I work with a lot of women, and a lot of the women that I work with, and even some men, can get so in the I'm serving, but from a place where they're not honoring or being self-loving, like they're leaving their home base almost completely and all about everybody else. And I don't think that's the answer either. It's about that nice balance. I mean, balance is a moving thing, but
arguably you're not a very worthwhile servant if you're too tired to serve. So if you're depleted by your service, you're not being true to yourself or helping really anybody. So you have to. So let's discuss. We have a little bit of time left here. Let's discuss this, because there are people say, well, how do I determine what my service is worth or what my connection ability or what am I worth. People ask this stuff all the time. What should I charge? And I always say, well, what are you worth? But for some people that's a very difficult question to answer, especially those people who have no skill in that area. They're not worth much, because there are people, I mean, in a marketplace, if you have no talent in that area and somebody else does, they're going to obviously be more um, or have the opportunity of more profitability than somebody who has no experience. But getting experience is also getting experience in declaring your worth and commanding a fee that the market would bear, let's say. So how would you, I mean, this is very general, obviously.
Right.
This is good. It'd have to be a, person to person basis, but how do you approach that aspect of, I'm new to the business, but I'm in business. How do I set a price range? What do I do in this regard?
Yeah, so like you said, this is general and there are some different factors. So I'm going to give some of the points that are coming up. One, you look out at what you offer and see what other people are charging, so you at least know what the ballpark is. And then I would go on the upper side of that if the delivery is equal, and if you have at least some testimonials under your belt that you deliver value, I would go to the upper side of the charging, unless there's going to be an unless on there. But let me talk about that first, because if you're always playing the game of cheaper, 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 you're going to attract people who are playing the game of cheaper, 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 and that are like, trying to, and look, there's always great ways to barter and fair exchange and energy. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you're always trying to be the bargain. Those are the people that you're attracting, the bargain shoppers, and they're always going to want like more from you, right? So also I found, like, whenever someone pays more for something, they've taken, however they earn their money, their life energy, their trust fund, wherever it's coming from, right? But it's this amount of money that represents energy invested by someone, and they're about to exchange it. Whenever they pay more, they typically, every time I've paid more for something, I mean, I remember one time paying for a course that was way more than my rent. I remember needing a vacuum and living in like a small little home and paying for a conference that was like 10 times the investment. But every time I made those stretch investments, I went all in and really took action on the things I was learning, so I got the results. So when you charge too low, sometimes people don't even show up for the work that you're offering, because it's like too easy. They're not that invested there. So that's one thing. Now, I said there was an unless. So unless that high price freaks you out so much that you're going to sabotage even talking to anyone about your price. So you're not going to make any offers because you have so much stuff around how much it is. So the next point I was going to make is a price. If you're not able to do it that way, then a price that you can feel stretches you a little, okay, but you can feel confident and authentic and aligned with charging that, right? Another fun thing that I've done with a lot of clients is have them double their price immediately. And then when you double, the important part is to do the energy work with it. So look at, what are you giving? What will their life be like if they apply all the things that you're going to give them, and they actually save their marriage, or they retire with dignity, or they get the body of their dreams and they're around for their grandchildren, and they're there for their daughter's wedding, right? So what is that worth if they actually, and get yourself so pumped up about what it is that because most of the time when we're freaked out about our prices, we're thinking about, am I enough? and do I have this amount of money? Am I that good? And it's from an I place versus what will they gain, and also give them the gift of investing in that. When people get real value, they want to feel that they've given it back. Even subconsciously, they want to feel that they've earned it. And so, yes, definitely do the energetic work to align with it. And then the other thing is look at what are other people offering that if you're going to go higher, and I definitely suggest that, then what extra value can you bring to the table? So rather than reducing the price, which is what a lot of people do, I'll reduce the price. And sometimes there's a time for that. But no, what could I add? Could I add a live event? Could I add a special session? Could I add a course that I created before? Could I add sending a massage therapist to their house? Could I add, look at what could you add to bring more value, so that by the time you want to look at your price and go, how can I give 10 times the value, right? So if I'm charging $10,000, how do I work in $100,000 worth of value? And that $100,000 worth of value doesn't have to be all you or your service. It can be things you're not thinking of that are very valuable, like bringing in a healer to maybe you work on the physicality, and now you're going to bring in, a healer to help heal trauma, money wounds, or what, you can add extra things to where it's super valuable. You can deliver it, and it's a total no-brainer. So it feels like a steal.
I love it. I love it. There's again many, many takeaways, but two that I want to emphasize is one is, if you become the bargain basement person of reducing your prices, that person will come to you whatever your price is and still want to bargain. They're going to want to bargain on your bargain, so you're going to constantly go down. The other thing is if you want respect yourself first and respect the other person. Because if you don't command respect, they're not going to give it to you. But if you know your worth and your value and you're assured of it, then they can reciprocate. But they'll also reciprocate it faster if you respect them and honor them too. Because if you're just being a jerk and going, I'm the best thing that ever, it's not going to happen for you. So you've dropped so many wonderful golden positive nuggets here, and it's so great to have you on the show. And there's so much more that we could talk, and we're out of time, but it went by like that. And I'm sure that the viewers also agree. So again, we'll have to have you on another time, to continue to talk about the book and the other things that you do. But you have added great value to the conversation and the people here today, and I really do appreciate and thank you for that.
Thank you so much. I see the questions coming in. One thing I do want to say, and the book is based on this too, and I know you read it, Rex, and I love you so much for that. It was so funny. So many, I think I have more reviews from men than women on Amazon for that book, but it's called Majestic Money, the 30-day Femme Manifesting Game. And I wrote it to play a game of manifesting money with a small group of women, but the majority of the work is daily things to do to shed shame around money, to unblock, and to tap into actually receiving. Because whether it's money, a relationship, new business, a new adventure, we will only allow ourselves to receive and keep and sustain what we feel worthy of receiving. And so, Shireen, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right, but the book has 30 different practices of how to get yourself aligned with receiving. And then I think that is all we can say, because we are almost 40 seconds from time. Yeah, we're 40.
I'm going to be closing the show too after that, but yeah, absolutely. So to connect with you, you've got adoracrystal.com. Is that the website that's scrolling there?
That'll work. Yeah. Or just social. I mean, most at Adora's Groove on Instagram. I know a lot of people go that way. That's probably, or Facebook. You can find me on Facebook too.
Fantastic. Well, I'm so pleased that you're here. And again, you've added so much value, and I appreciate you. I love you so much. So thank you for being here. And I know we're going to be talking soon. Hang out in the green room for just a minute or two if you can, and then I'll be there shortly to say hello and goodbye. But
awesome. Thank you. And thank you, Shmiko and team Ava working for us in the background. Everyone who is here. I loved all your comments. Love you too, Barbie, Sandra, everybody.
They're great. They are absolutely great. Couldn't do it without them. And I'm so glad that they're. So thank you so much. And I'll be with you in just a moment. And so long. All right. That is Adora Evans. And watch for her because she got a whole lot more stuff coming down the pipe. You know, she's got different programs and different opportunities for people, different tours and different things going on. And I know that you're going to want to be a part of that or participate in some fashion. So I'm glad that you did. That said, I need to tell you about Life on Your Terms, but beyond Life on Your Terms, I need to tell you that right now people are enrolling in my Ultimate NLP Home Study course, which is available through rexsikes.com. It's my website. If you wanted to learn neurolinguistic programming or how to transform your mind, your feelings, your behaviors, and the results that you get to live happier, healthier, wealthier, and more successful in everything that you do. I know this sounds like an amazing claim, but believe me, you can transform your life. I'm teaching this program online right now. Go to rexsikes.com right there at the website and look up the Ultimate NLP Home Study course and join us. So many people are doing that right now. We've got private support groups, and there's the book. So and also you can get the book at Amazon. So go find that at Amazon. That would be great. But join us in the NLP program if that's what you want. Brain, language, and behavior. That's what NLP stands for. If you don't know, and but it's been teaching it for 40 years, and among other things. But the program is people are enrolling in it now. And the enrollment is for a limited time. You can join up right away. So that said, I am so glad that you're here. We're going to be back next week, next Thursday, with another fabulous guest. We're here every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern, and then wherever it is in your time zone. But if you like the show, please go ahead and like, but don't just like, actually leave a comment, engage, share the show, because you can reach so many more people than I can alone. So if you liked what Adora said today, please push it out there, put it on your wall, share it in your groups, put it on your pages, send it to your friends, and be sure to connect with Adora. Be sure to connect with me. I'm happy to connect with you, and join us the next time, because I've got incredible guests lined up for months now. And I'm so looking forward to bring these exciting and amazing people to you here on All Things Rex Worldwide on the Los Angeles Tribune. So I'm, again, thankful for Shmiko and Ava and all of the behind the backstage team, and for Mo Rock and the Los Angeles Tribune for giving us this venue to bring you guests like this. And so thank you for being here. And if you consider everything a blessing, that's how I always like to close the show. If you consider everything a problem, then it's a problem. But if you consider everything a blessing, then it certainly can be a blessing. So with that in mind, celebrate everything.